Hello, good evening to you and a warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama highlights structural challenges and stubborn inflation as key concerns as the Monetary Policy Committee begins meeting to review developments in the economy. We will be joined by a financial analyst on the back of these issues. Also, in this bulletin, Finance Minister Ato Forson reveals significant progress made on addressing structural IMF benchmarks missed last year by the previous administration. We'll have a discussion with an economist shortly. Plus, Minerals Income and Investment Fund announces plans to review the fund's equity holdings in selected companies to boost dividend payments.
We are also looking at costs, because if we are resetting Ghana, the taxpayers' funds needs to generate results for the country.
We've got details of this and more lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much. You could join me. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama has maintained that checking what he described as stubborn inflation remains a major priority. The governor highlighted these concerns at the Monetary Policy Meeting today, which, of course, began to review developments in the economy. George Biafe tells us more.
Speaking at the opening of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama expressed concern about the pace of inflation rate reduction, arguing that this puts some pressure on them to act quickly to correct the situation.
While inflation is easing, I'm sure you have gone through your blue books, it remains uncomfortably high, and I must emphasize the word uncomfortably. Remains high at over 23%, and progress has been slow, particularly on a month-on-month basis. For instance, structural drivers of food inflation remain persistent.
The governor also had some good news, especially for those that were worried that Ghana may not pass this fourth IMF program review.
The external environment, colleagues, is another area which, though currently supportive, is becoming increasingly volatile. We've seen a strong trade surplus, and we've seen some solid reserve buildup, as the data in the Blue Book will show, and these on the back of gold exports and remittance flows. But colleagues, we also see a possible escalation in global tariff wars. We also see rising geopolitical tensions, and we see a weakening in Chinese demand, which could shift the dynamics. These global factors could also have spillover effects on inflation going forward, capital flows, and could also affect exchange rate stability going forward. Domestically, colleagues, the 2024 fiscal outturn, as you've seen in the data, has been expansionary, with the deficit exceeding program targets. We have seen encouraging signs of consolidation for the first 2 months in 2025. But even with that, questions remain as to whether current measures are adequate to anchor expectations and/or satisfy upcoming IMF program reviews.
He also revealed that more reforms are needed in the banking sector to fast-track the expected stability and growth that we were all looking forward to.
While the private sector credit is recovering in nominal terms, real credit growth remains modest. Colleagues, banks are still cautious and NPL levels remain a concern. Meanwhile, our microfinance and rural banking sectors are stagnating, although showing some signs of stability. We need to get along with the recapitalization and regulatory reforms to preserve confidence in that area.
The Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama reminded members of the Monetary Policy Committee that their job is cut out for them, looking at the current challenges facing the economy.
Colleagues, there are also deeper structural issues which we must not lose sight of. For example, the underinvestment when it comes to agriculture, the persistent exchange rate misalignments that we contend with, and the need to deepen domestic financial markets, particularly after the DDEP and its impacts.
All right, so let's expand the conversation much further. Joining us via Zoom is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, for some perspective on this matter. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. Now, as a finance person yourself, how important is transparency when it comes to winning the trust of the public within the financial sector, you would say?
Thank you very much. It is very important that market players, especially the financial markets, are transparent because the market rides on the back of confidence. And one major measure of confidence or one trigger of confidence is transparency. So if going forward, we are going to have some insight into some of the discussions that goes on in influencing MPC rate, I believe it will help the market and it will help in taking decisions when it comes to market participants and what they seek to do with their funds on the market. So transparency is very, very important on the financial market.
Is that to suggest that you buy in when he talks about minutes and, of course, of meetings and how members vote on the policy rate is made public?
It has to. It has to because the Bank of England does say, the US Federal Bank and the European Central Bank, they don't shy away from publishing monetary policy minutes. So if Ghana is to do same, it is in the interest of global best practice. These are individuals, experts in their area, who are reasoning through money and how best to influence the price of money, i.e. interest rate on the market. So it will be good if market watchers and analysts know what exactly is happening and what is influencing their decision in terms of the minutes that will be published. Of course, I doubt if they will go ahead to identify each statement made and assign it to a name. What the minute will be is more of a summary of the discussions and the voting that will be taking place as to how many people voted for and how many people voted against. In terms of matching the details of the vote to the membership or the members of the Monetary Policy Committee, I doubt if the central bank will do that. But it is good that at least the market is having some insight into what is happening. What we need to be looking at is how many days in terms of lag will it take the central bank to release these minutes? Are we going to work within the traditional window of, let's say, maximum 3 weeks to release the minutes? Because if it goes beyond 3 weeks, the information becomes stale and it's most likely the market will have reacted already. So the minutes must be timely enough so that the public can also take decisions based on it.
And I was about asking that. So would you say the market is ready for that move?
Yeah, the market is. The market is ready because, so many things are happening on our market and you want to let the market follow the numbers and follow the central bank. You want the market to trust, you want the public to trust the central bank. And so if information like this will come and it will come in a timely manner, I believe strongly that the market will make good use of it. So indeed, the market is prepared and we are eager to have such minutes.
Dr. Samuel, considering these approaches and other monetary tools, do you think that it will help in controlling inflation like the governor is envisaging?
To control inflation, it goes beyond just publishing monetary policy minutes. Inflation is both structural, inflation is both, aggregate, it's monetary, it's fiscal. So if you look at the space, a lot of moving parts must be coordinated if we are to have some level of control over inflation. But to see the monetary aspect of the economy, central bank trying to be transparent in terms of arriving at its MPC rate, which goes a long way to influence the Ghana reference rate, is good for the market. What will trigger a drop down in inflation, I believe the issue of agric, the issue of Ministry of Finance coming onto the market to borrow and at what rate they seek to borrow, and the availability of money in the system, including liquidity, will all have to influence inflation rate. But from the monetary side, if we are going to have what goes in to influence the monetary policy rate, which also influences the Ghana reference rate being made public, it is good for the market. That is what I would say.
Dr. Benjamin Amo, I truly appreciate your time here on Business Live with your perspective there. Grateful you could join me, sir. Let's stay a while longer within the economy because Finance Minister Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen has revealed that government has made significant progress in addressing the IMF targets missed out by the previous administration. The Finance Minister disclosed this when he engaged the German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Crowe, at the Ministry of Finance.
The Finance Minister, Dr. Tuforsen, on the IMF program noted that based on the corrective measures that government has undertaken, the country will soon start getting the required results in terms of the fiscal numbers improving. The assurance by the Finance Minister is coming at a time that the 2025 budget has revealed that Ghana missed out on most of the crucial targets set under the IMF program ending 2024. The Finance Minister in the meeting with the German ambassador also revealed that on the debt restructuring, Ghana has made some significant progress as government is now focused on finalizing the individual bilateral agreement. The minister also praised the German government's role in reaching a deal with these creditors. On the energy sector, the Finance Minister also revealed that they have made some significant progress, which is paying debt to all the independent power producers, a move the minister sees as critical in dealing with the numerous challenges facing the sector.
And thankfully, economist Professor Patrick Esuming has joined us via Zoom for a conversation on the back of this as well. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. Maybe you want to have a first bite when it comes to the decision taken by the governor in relation to transparency, enhancing transparency when it comes to monetary policy matters, etc. And of course, his commitment to tame inflation.
Good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me. Well, I think generally, transparency is good. You only have to be careful what kind of information you put out. I think, so far, based on what I've heard, I think the BoG hasn't said they are going to put out any incriminating information. I think it's good for people to understand exactly what the thinking is when those decisions are made. I don't know. I couldn't particularly understand why the press conference was held ahead of the
policy rate,
the monetary MPC meeting, and I think the governor has made a couple of comments that probably I don't know. I think he's made it clear that he wants to fight inflation. My understanding is that it's the MPC that has to make that decision. So perhaps I don't know whether he spoke too soon.
Well, we'll see about that. But how crucial is government's fiscal sustainability measures as we look forward to the IMF's fourth review next month?
Well, I think we have to understand that the cutoff date for the fourth review, I understand, is end of December. So the targets and the performance and the structural indicators that will be reviewed, I think a cutoff at the end of December. So like what has been missed, and what has been attained has been attained. But even having said that, it still helps if you are in the process of implementing measures and you miss. If you recall, when we look at the previous reviews, there are some of the targets that were missed. But then at the time the agreement is being sent to, the staff level agreement is being sent to the board, then they will tell you this was missed at the cutoff date, but it has subsequently been done. So I think it's good that, you know, the finance ministry clearly commits and then make statements telling us that they are committed to tackling whatever has been missed.
And I want to build on my next point, question on that point as well. But at least the finance minister has announced that the country has made some significant progress and is now focused on, you know, finalizing individual bilateral agreements with external creditors. Your take?
Well, I think we've known this for a while. I think the debt restructuring is more or less 95% done. We've been at that position for a while. So I think it seems more like a process that just has to happen. But it's good. It's still good that the finance minister states that, you know, we are continuing with the process. So it doesn't communicate that there's a change in government and therefore our commitment to implementing the program has changed.
And having missed some of the structural benchmarks under the IMF program, what do you foresee playing out during the fourth review next month? Should we be worried?
Well, so I think, as far as I can recall, I think there were two major benchmarks. Those mostly have to do with two structural benchmarks that, if you look at the schedule, were due at the end of last year. Then one has to do with the integration of the tax system. Another has to do with merging GANEP and GIFMIS. So, you know, if things are going to be missed, those ones are the more likely ones to be missed, because those ones require, it's not something that you just swing a bat and then you've done it. It requires a lot of time and careful planning and some kind of negotiation and all. So we just hope that we were in the process. Yeah, I think it's more damaging if, you know, no action at all has been taken and we haven't done anything at all. I think people talk about the performance target that were definitely missed. The inflation target would definitely have been missed. Probably the target on net international reserves might have been missed as well. But I think, you know, the following through, the fund will probably understand those ones, because, you know, it's not like we just got up of one day and decided to discontinue some things. So I think it's not great, but I don't think it will be too damaging. Also, we have a new government, and I think it's important that the government states its commitment that it is working to achieve those benchmarks. I think once those ones are communicated, there should be a way around that.
And at least there's been some waivers we are learning, and how can we leverage on that?
Well, I think the waivers only help us to deal with what we have missed. And I think those waivers won't come when there's no commitment that we are working towards that. But I think we also don't want to be relying on waivers. We have to do what is expected of us. Whatever we have agreed to, we have to see through them and make sure that they are getting done. So we just hope that these waivers they are going to be one-off, and that we are not going to be relying on waivers going forward.
Great. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to us. Professor Patrick Isuming is an economist here on Business Live, sharing his perspective with us. Still watching Business Live. We have more for you after this break. Hello again, welcome back to Business Live. Chief Executive of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, Justina Nelson, has announced plans to review the fund's equity holdings in selected communities or companies, to boost dividend payments. This is aimed at optimizing returns and ensuring strategic alignment with Ghana's mineral resource policies. Justina Nelson was speaking to journalists after touring some firms under Inajero Ghana Venture Capital Fund, which received funding from the MIF. More in this report.
The tour of some firms with equity stake by the Minerals Income and Investment Fund, MIF, is aimed at engaging managers of these companies to have a better understanding of the operations and how the government can increase revenue from their dividends. According to the Chief Executive Officer of MIF, Justina Nelson, it is critical to assess their operations and investment portfolio in order to make a better informed decision on the way forward. She has been speaking to journalists.
And in the boardrooms, we are looking at the financials. we are looking at the profitabilities. We are also looking at costs, because if we are resetting Ghana, the taxpayers' funds needs to generate results for the country. And so those are into boardroom discussions. And where the need be and the companies are not doing well, we would urge them to do better.
She has also been speaking about the firm's tour so far and the need for some visibility in their mandate.
We have invested in Injaro, and so we have had our meetings with Injaro, and it is for 10 years. Injaro has also invested, and so it is the onus is on us to find out where the investments have gone into. Having visited ZPay and having also come to DDP, and we have also visited the KOFA. And with KOFA, my excitement is because of the lithium that is going to be used to power the batteries for the bikes that is going to be used in households. My interest also is in the visibility for having taken this meeting with DDP to liaise properly in order to create more visibilities for the mining space, so that at least that is where the core of our business comes from, and that is the royalties.
The Injaro Venture Capital is hoping to invest in more innovations in the small and medium enterprises sector.
MPC Bank, Ghana's fastest growing financial services provider, has signaled its growth ambitions with the 7th edition of its quarterly health walk, using the high-profile event as a platform to deepen brand engagement and launch its latest digital banking innovation. Here is more.
The event, held on March 22nd, 2025 at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, attracted approximately 3,000 participants and served as the official activation of the bank's new mobile app, reinforcing its new tagline, "Not just another bank." Managing Director Daniel Esiedu linked the theme of endurance and consistency to the bank's broader approach to customer service and financial stability.
You can see that most of us are wearing the light blue t-shirt. And in that t-shirt, you will see the MPC mobile app. Our mobile app has just been launched, and I can tell you that it's not just another mobile app. It's a unique mobile app that you can do many things with it. And I want to encourage our customers, I want to encourage the general public to test this mobile app and see the difference. And so officially, we have our mobile app that has been launched, and we look forward to it making strong impact in this market.
The 12.8-kilometer walk, designed to promote both physical and financial discipline, emerged as more than just a wellness initiative.
The importance of exercising your body cannot be overemphasized. I mean, most people are having all kinds of issues with their bodies. And every time you go to hospital, they will tell you to exercise. And majority of people don't even exercise at all. So we felt that as a bank, let's create that awareness that people must take their health seriously. And so this health walk is supposed to remind people that we need to exercise our bodies. And this morning we have walked about 12.8 kilometers. We have taken about 16,800 steps. Averagely, you are told that you need about 10,000 steps every day. So if you do 16, almost 17,000, it's very good for you. We only do this once every quarter, but the most important thing is I want people to be aware that taking interest in your body and ensuring that you exercise is beneficial. It elongates your life.
More within the financial sector, President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Kofi Adumakun, has underscored the need for the government to reduce its stake in state-owned banks and encourage greater private sector participation. Here's a report.
Just saying that these banks are coerced to lend to SOEs, okay? And let's not hide. All of these things happen because those indigenous Ghanaian banks come under pressure to lend to SOEs and get stuck in that type of business. And so the key thing is GCB must grow to begin to look like an APSA. It must grow to begin to look like a Stanbic. It must grow and get out of Ghana, get into the African continent and spread and diversify, okay? It's not the business of governments to have shares in banks and have shares in banks. Government can have a smaller share, but allow the private sector to, it improves the governance in the institution. And once the governance is improved, the bank also grows better and does things better.
CEO of Stanbic Bank, Kwamena Asumeni, shed light on the factors contributing to the rising non-performing loan ratios in the banking sector.
So the NPLs were occasioned by just the stresses in the economy. Ghana's, the default placed a lot of stress on the economy. You saw that inflation went as high as 54%. The currency weakened substantially, and all of these variables and developments placed significant stress on businesses. But the trends have been a lot more favorable in the past few months. NPLs themselves are lagging indicators, and so it's always important to understand what has happened as you review NPLs. We feel that the West is behind us, and when you look at some of the leading indicators of economic activity, it points to an improvement. And so we feel that over time, the NPL ratios should come down. But yes, it does place some stress on the balance sheet of banks, because banks would have to set aside capital to meet some of these losses. But we feel that the industry is fairly well capitalized, and most of the banks should be able to weather the storm.
The Ghana Association of Banks cocktail and networking event brought together key stakeholders in the banking industry to foster collaboration and drive sustainable economic growth.
I truly appreciate your time watching Business Live with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Grateful serving you.